filthy swines, get in here, sit down, behave yourselves. I'm going to read some stuff. Let's get on with it, I suppose. I've heard stories of how the Trump family is, in fact, some kind of order of highly advanced technologies and such. I love all these conspiracies because they're so wacky, but, they make fertile ground for speculation and fiction. Well, this article on the Daily Mail, written by Chris Malore, mysterious Trump airships appearing in 100-year-old sketchbook sparks time traveler theories. Blimey, is he a ruddy time traveler? A wild theory claims President Donald Trump may be a time traveler, with clues scattered throughout art and literature for more than a century. Sketches of futuristic aircraft drawn by artist Charles Delchaux, a Prussian immigrant who came to the US in 1850 and died in 1923, mysteriously contained the word Trump and even featured the number 47, the number of presidents the US has had. Before his death, Delchaux created depictions of fantastical flying machines that he called aeros, which often resembled a mix of early airships, balloons, and primitive aeroplanes. However, conspiracy theorists have seized on the repeated appearance of Trump's name and the numbers associated with both of his terms in the White House as the 45th and 47th Commander-in-Chief. The extraordinary theory has also been connected to old novels by Ingersoll Lockwood from the late 1800s, which featured a young character named Baron Trump, who embarked on incredible adventures with a wise mentor, Don. Like Donald. What? This is so uncanny. In Lockwood's books, Baron lives in a grand place called Castle Trump and is guided by Don, adding even more intrigue to the theory that America's first family was foretold decades before the president's birth. Well, I suppose if you believe in premonitions, and if that were possible, perhaps these people had visions of the future, and there wasn't in fact time travel, they were just glimpsing around some kind of temporal corner, maybe. While some have claimed the artists and authors had some mysterious method of knowing the future, others claimed without evidence the similarities prove the Trump family has time travel technology and used it to influence world events. One person on social media claimed either Trump is a time traveler or someone put in 200 years of work to make a guy who wasn't even born yet look like he is one. Maybe. If you were to think that perhaps Trump has had such a significant impact on the trajectory of future history, then maybe those events could have some kind of backwards ripple in time and people could perceive large events coming to some degree. I mean, if you believe in that sort of thing, if you believe in Nostradamus and all that stuff, if you entertain the thought that maybe he could predict the future, then maybe other people could as well or can as well, and some have seen stuff like this, maybe. I am of the inclination that I think there may be something in this. I think our perception of time is heavily influenced by the present, but I think time runs in multiple directions, and we only have a significant bias for one because it's just the direction that's forced upon us. I suppose if you were, let's say you're on top of a mountain and the wind is blowing, it's blowing very strong in one direction, and if you see time as being events blowing in one direction, perhaps there might be crosswinds that, I don't know, crosswinds of time that intersect people's minds, maybe. That sounds very, very far-fetched. According to the American Visionary Art Museum in Maryland, Delchaux's fictitious aeros were powered by an anti-gravity substance he envisioned called NB gas or soup that enabled them to fly without normal fuels. A bit like hydrogen, maybe, or helium. The technology is eerily similar to descriptions of UFOs, which the government calls unidentified anomalous phenomena, and President Trump has vowed to disclose to the American people during his term. Delchaux's sketches also include one showing a golden-haired figure steering a machine labeled with the number 45, another linked to Trump serving as the 45th president. The mystery surrounding the Delchaux sketches has sent conspiracy theorists searching for every possible clue that Trump and his youngest son Barron could have traveled through time. One quote that has gained attention is Trump saying, "I know things that other people don't know," both during his 2016 presidential campaign and after he won the White House. Yes, but he's a high-profile figure. He knows probably all the gossip of all these other high-profile people. He knew of Epstein. He knew of other stuff. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I read into that. Trump's past comments on nuclear power have also raised eyebrows. The president has claimed that his uncle, Dr. John Trump, would explain the power of what's going to happen, and he was right. Celebrity and podcast host Logan Paul has even asked Trump's granddaughter Kai about the Lockwood book and whether it was proof that the human race was living in a virtual simulation. The teen said she was certain that Barron was not a time traveler, adding, "I don't go down those rabbit holes." Well, I bloody do. I love it. "I don't want to go down those rabbit holes," she said. She reiterated, "I bloody do. I love it." That's what I reiterate. I love the style, though. Look at this. The heck is this? Reminds me of Bioshock 3. The mystery grows even stranger when conspiracy fans begin to examine Lockwood's connection to the time travel theory. He was an American political writer and novelist who wrote 2 children's books titled Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey and Little Barron Trump and His Wonderful Dog Bulger. However, Lockwood also created the ominous political tone, The Last President, a story which opens in New York City right after the election of an enormously unpopular candidate. The 19th century author wrote that police officers shouted through the streets as mobs of vast size were organizing under the lead of anarchists and socialists and threatened to plunder and despoil the houses of the rich who have wronged and oppressed them for so many years. That was pretty much a growing theme of Marxism and communism and all that malarkey that ended up taking a lot of lives and attention across the world, really. But it certainly, that wave washed across Russia during that time, so it is not particularly surprising. In the books featuring Barron Trump, the boy visits Russia on an extraordinary adventure. Barron is guided through his adventure by Don, who is described as the master of all masters. The Trump family motto in the book is, "The pathway to glory is strewn with pitfalls and dangers." In the storybook's illustrations of Barron Trump, he is lavishly dressed and decked in jewels as he leaves Castle Trump and begins his journey to Russia to find an entrance to alternate dimensions. As for whether time travel is actually possible or just a work of fiction, no major scientific institution such as NASA has ever dismissed the theory as impossible. In fact, many prominent scientists have claimed that time travel is possible to some degree, including a 2020 study in the journal Classical and Quantum Gravity that mathematically showed backward time travel could happen without creating confusing paradoxes or breaking the rules of cause and effect. However, famed physicist Stephen Hawking and frequenter of Epstein's Island, I added that part, argued in his 1994 book that the best evidence we have that time travel is not possible, and never will be, is that we have not been invaded by hordes of tourists from the future. How would you know? Perhaps they're very sneaky. Perhaps they only do reruns of the past. Perhaps actual reverse temporal engineering only happens through very secret channels and very secret groups of people. That would be my bet, if that were even remotely possible. You wouldn't be broadcasting it because it's a great strategic advantage. So, yeah, you're not going to meet yourself from the future because that would be crazy. Anyway, what's this? YouTuber explains Barron Trump time travel conspiracy theory with his wonderful moustache. Racial cells, we're going to try and watch this.
There's a lot of other details to the Donald Trump time traveler conspiracy theory, but what I want to focus on is this newly discovered book. So the other day, a post pops up on 4chan about this book. I know what you're thinking. It's 4chan, right? It's got to be a hoax. That's what I thought, too. That's what I thought. So I'm going to show you this book. It's a book written by a man called Ingersoll Lockwood. The name of this book? Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. And here you can see a drawing of Barron Trump and his dog. See, Barron Trump, this character Barron Trump, who I will note is spelled different from the Barron Trump of anime fame. Barron Trump stars in a number of books written by this author, Ingersoll Lockwood. These books include fantasy stories of Barron Trump and his dog going on adventures, including things such as time travel. Now, seeing this on 4chan, obviously the first assumption is this is either a hoax or somebody just made it as a joke, right? But then you look up the book and the author, and these are real books that are hosted on both the Library of Congress, and you can buy a hard copy on Amazon. I'll put links in the description. And this can still all be explained away various ways. I mean, you see the picture, the drawing of Little Barron Trump, kind of does look like, you know, our Barron Trump. Except, you know, it's a very sketchy pencil drawing, which can kind of look like anybody you want it to look like to some extent. Any child maybe has a childlike face. Then there's also the possibility that Donald Trump had heard of the book before and simply named Barron after the character. Considering that the book bears his name, it's very likely that somebody at some point in his life brought it to his attention. And although it's kind of a weird coincidence to have a character named Barron Trump in the late 18th century, especially since Barron Trump is kind of an unusual name, there's a much more weird coincidence / potential prophecy in another book by this same author entitled The Last President. Yes, The Last President. Now, the book The Last President opens up describing a riot that takes place in New York City on November 3rd, 1896. On page 5 of this book, when describing the riot, it says, "The Fifth Avenue Hotel will be the first to feel the fury of the mob." Now tell me, can you think of any hotels that exist in New York City on Fifth Avenue that rioters might want to show their wrath to? And then what happens on that day, November 3rd? I can think of one specific November 3rd where people might want to riot on Fifth Avenue and target a certain person's hotel. November 3rd, the year 2020, aka the date of the next presidential election. What the f***? What the f***? Now, I'm not here to tell you that I truly believe that Barron Trump or Donald Trump are time travelers, or that this book, this author is somehow a prophet, but I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Tell me what you think about it, because right now, like, it's like 5 in the morning, and this is making me very uncomfortable. Oh, God. Anyway, till next time, everybody get
I liked how he signed off with that. That's my kind of sign off there. Who knows? It's interesting. But I wonder, if you are a believer of the possibility of people having visions or premonitions of the future, perhaps these people saw a glimpse of what was to come. Perhaps people see things that haven't happened yet. I'd like to read this story now, actually. Sounds interesting. And I love this style. It's very American, isn't it? All these red, white, and blue stripes. Although, is that also like a French flag there? What are we looking at there? We've got 45. Is that 99 on there as well? Trump. There he is. On the Trump train. That looks more like a train, doesn't it, than an airship? And there's all talk about the Trump train back in 2016 and 2020. What else can we see here? 45, 95? I don't see any 47s anywhere. Are they suggesting that Trump will be, will have another term? I mean, it's a funny thing to talk about, and I am a fan of Trump, so I'm not sure how I'd feel about that in the future. If perhaps he'll be too old then, I don't know. He seems to be in fine fettle for a man of his age at the moment, though. Anyway, that's interesting. I think that's either pareidolia, and there's a whole bunch of other nonsense out there that describes nothing, and this just happens to have hit the nail on the head randomly. Or perhaps these people had visions of the future similar to Nostradamus, and they scribbled it all down so people could look back in time and go, well, bloody hell, if we'd only known, we could have placed a bet on Trump, maybe. Make sure you hit that like button wherever you are. But that is it for now. And the only thing I have left to say is, Pigwig, out.
Oink, oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squee, oink, oink, ree, squeal, snort, snort, oinkity, squee. Oink, 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 squee, squee, ree, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 ree, 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 oh. Snort, snuffle, oink, squee, squeal, ree, snort, oinkity, oinkity, oink, oink, snuffle, ree, squee, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, 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 squee, squee, ree, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 ree, 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 oh. Oink, oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squee, oinkity, oink, oink, snuffle, ree, squee, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, 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 squee, squee, ree, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 ree, 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 oh. Squeal, squeal. snuffle, re-squeeze, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, 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 goody, squeeze, squeal, re, snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squeal, oink, 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 re,